10 years since Lloyd Rayney was acquitted.
That went fast. The anniversary came a few days after Lloyd won a $400,000 payout after he sued a forensic expert. Lloyd went Mark Reynolds on defamation after Mark said in a public lecture in 2015 there was no need for a cold case review because the killer of Corinne Rayney had been identified. The $400,000 goes with the $2.6 million payout Lloyd received after he sued Detective Senior Sergeant Jack Lee. Jack was taken for defamation after he said this at a press conference in September 2007.
As a result of further investigations this morning, including the interview of Mr. Rayney, he is now a suspect in the murder of his wife. He is our prime suspect because our evidence at this time leads us to believe the offence occurred at that house.
So now Lloyd has $3 million in the bank and the cops still don't have anyone in handcuffs. The lack of an arrest subsequent to the 2012 acquittal is something Lloyd supporters constantly point to. They believe a coronial inquest might uncover fresh information.
What possible fresh information could be uncovered after one criminal trial and 2 civil?
You'd be surprised. Corinne went missing on August 7, 2007, last seen at a boot scooting class in Bentley, something we all know. 8 days later, her car was found in Kershaw Street in Subiaco, and the next day her body was found in a bush grave in Kings Park. Again, things we all know. The cops were led to that grave by a trail of oil which had spilled from the car when it was damaged going over a bollard near the gravesite.
Which we all know about.
Here's something we don't know much about. The oil trail first led police to a nearby car park at the corner of Saw Avenue and May Drive. Cops were following the oil trail from Subi and they got to this car park at night. They secured the perimeter and did as much as they could in the dark. When dawn broke, they realised that the oil trail continued on and it led them to the gravesite. The Saw Avenue car park was still a crime scene, but the focus had shifted, which is completely understandable. That's where the body was found after all.
Why are we talking about this now?
The Saw Avenue car park wasn't a big part of the original court case, but now the case is over and 10 years on, still no other arrest. There's a theory that it might be more important than we originally thought. Some of Lloyd's supporters reckon 2 cars were involved in Corinne's disappearance, her silver Ford Fairmont and one other, and that those 2 cars spent time at that car park. So Lloyd's supporters want to know what happened to the forensic material collected there.
What did forensics find?
There were cigarette butts, cotton buds, some soft drink bottles, I think, a few other bits and pieces. Stuff that could have been there for weeks, even months before Corinne's car ended up there sometime after 9:30 at night on August 7, 2007.
Stuff that could have been examined in a coroner's inquest.
I assume that the cold case review of the murder that started in 2015 went through the scene again and looked at all that material. The cold case squad doesn't around. But that review was commissioned 7 years after Corinne was killed. Stuff goes missing in that kind of time frame, particularly when maybe the cops thought that stuff was a sideshow to the real game.
So what happens now?
The Rayney team want a root and branch review of all forensic evidence. They say that's what cracked the Claremont case. Right now, we're in the dark about that site's relevance. The coroner has completed a review of Corinne's death. We have no idea when that was, and it won't be made public. And there won't be a public inquest, something which John Quigley has previously said he thought was warranted, but is legally prevented from demanding. The good news is that in WA, time is no barrier to justice.
Or ugly architecture.
You're a hater. You'd be familiar with this building in the CBD.
The Telstra building.
Yes, before that the Telecom building. Been part of the landscape since I think around 1979. Chock full of telecommunications infrastructure that keeps us all connected in this modern age. Notice anything weird about this building?
It's ugly.
Yes, that, and it also appears to have a giant skateboard ramp on top of it.
Yo, do a kickflip!
Fugly and half pipey, and also has no windows. When it was built 45 years ago, it was the heaviest building in WA because of the thickness of its foundations and walls. It's earthquake proof, built thick to keep standing and also maintain a constant internal temperature. There's a call centre on the lower floors, but 90% of the building is unmanned, or unpersoned. The half pipe at the top hides exhaust pipes for the diesel generator that's on site in case the building loses power. It's one of the most secure locations in Western Australia, after Ricarden's change room. If Putin hits the button, that's the place you want to be.
What? Ricarden's change room?
The reason we're talking about this is there's a new business that's operating from inside that building. It's the Australian Space Automation, Artificial Intelligence and Robotics Control Complex, which will from here on be referred to as the nifty acronym SpAARC. It's a joint initiative between the WA government, the Australian Space Agency, and a company you've probably never heard of called Fugro.
Fan-fugu-tastic.
Fugro is a remote operations specialist. Their techies can operate machines that are thousands of metres underwater and even further away than that.
Space, the final frontier.
That weird Telstra building is now ground zero for West Australian space operations. Fugro SpAARC director Sam Forbes reckons WA is well placed to be a centre for space robotics because our mining and oil and gas industries are doing it already. Conditions in space are obviously hard to mimic, but the hostile and remote environments of offshore oil rigs and iron ore mines in the Pilbara come close.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Karatha. I'm Ben Harvey. For more update, click the subscribe button below.